My name is Shannon Kemp, and I'm the Chief Digital Officer here at Dataversity. We want to welcome you to the Special Interest Group. We've got a lot of people trickling in here. So just to kick us off and get us started here, we at Dataversity have seen a very visible growth of women in data, right? Woo! It's exciting, a visible difference, right? So we wanted to know and hold the Special Interest Group to discover and learn and understand how we can better support this growing demographic. So as this opportunity presented itself, I solicited the assistance of my friend and colleague, Kelly O'Neill, because over the years, we have had so many conversations about how we can better support each other and working women in general. So,
hi, I'm Kelly O'Neill. I am the founder and CEO of a consulting company called First San Francisco Partners, and I've got a few of my colleagues here today. Gretchen and Becky are sitting over there, and Sarah Rasmussen is hopefully coming at some point. Wouldn't that have been funny if she just walked in the room? But and so our company is 70% women, and so when Shannon reached out to me, yay! I couldn't have said yes fast enough. And I know there's a lot of women in types of groups. There's actually one called Women in Data. And so our goal is to create something unique and different for this community. So hence the conversation that we're going to have today. So I'm super excited to participate in this. Back to you.
Thank you. And I'm excited to announce this is the second discussion we've had. We had one originally at Enterprise Data World in September, and we've already learned a lot, and we're excited to learn even more and get more information. We have started implementing some things based off of that initial discussion. So we've got some blogs by and for women. We recently published a podcast of a father-daughter duo because there was a man who attended the first SIG, and they were like, what's going on? He's taking furious notes, right? And he's like, oh, my daughter is getting into data, and I want to know what I can do to help her. So, of course, he became the darling of the conference, right? And we just published the podcast with both he and his daughter together. It's really cute. Check it out. And we also learned from that special interest group that there was a lot of networking that wanted to happen immediately following us for the discussion. So we have, for this one, set up a little reception, a half-hour reception outside the doors for after this special interest group, for you all to continue the discussion and continue the conversation. And if you want to continue even further after that and grab another drink, Data Galaxy will be holding a reception next door immediately following that. So we hope you can join all of that. And I'm excited to announce that we are going to be launching our first half-day conference for women in data management and governance associated with Enterprise Data World. We'll be tacking it onto that on March 24th, 2024. So I hope you all can join us. That's free and part of your Enterprise Data World registration. So I hope you can join. Very exciting.
And also, your feedback today help us to create meaningful agendas like the one for EDW. So that's a key way that we use your ideas and thoughts and sharing for today.
I'm excited. All right, so, and if you want to stay up to date in everything that results from these discussion groups, feel free to scan the QR code. It'll be on every slide, so you'll be able to keep up, and so you can sign up to get all that information. Including, we'll be doing a monthly newsletter. So let's get started with a discussion. I'm going to come down here so that I can walk amongst you and hear your answers, because we're here to hear from you. Now, I've learned throughout my career, the very first thing to ask is, and to not assume, just because I think that this should be a safe space, doesn't mean you all understand that this is a safe space. So let me ask the question. What will make this a safe space for you today to have an open conversation?
not talking over each other.
Anybody else?
That there are no stupid ideas or thoughts.
Love that.
Absolutely. And what else?
Just adding to that, not just an idea is not stupid or thoughts are not stupid, but no question is stupid, basically.
Yep.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes.
Thanks. No judging.
Oh, thank you, Mateus.
Yes. Anybody else? All right, does anybody disagree with anything that's been stated? Everybody on board?
I'm not judging because he's a guy.
No.
Well, I will
We're
say,
excited.
sorry, and Dina, I know you had your hand up. So Mateus and Anthony, and I don't know all of the men that are sitting in this room, but we love that you decided to come because there will be instances where you are interviewing women, where you are, maybe you have a daughter, or something like that, or you might in the future. Anyway, I appreciate your interest in this because it is about helping more and more women join, be successful, and excel in data, really. So thank you for coming.
So I'm going to try to say this so it's not taken the wrong way. I think it's really important that people do have a place that they can talk about the real issues and things that they've faced as being a woman. But I am not interested in general male bashing. And that is really, really important to me, that this is something that we're looking for solutions, we're looking to support people. It is not about being against a particular gender.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danette. This is a safe space for everybody. All right. Again, let me ask, anybody disagree? Anybody else? We're good? Everyone? Yes?
I just wanted to add to Kelly's point, yes, men in the room, you'll have daughters, and we're bringing women into the workplace, but also you have a really important role as allies. So please feel like you're an active participant in this conversation in this room, because we want you to be advocates for us in the spaces you're in. So you also do have a role to play in this discussion. You're not just observers of it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get the discussion going further. What are the needs of women in the field of data management and governance? What are your needs? Salary.
Right, salary. What about it?
Right? Equal pay. Power. What does that mean? Carla's behind you.
More taking a stand on the decisions that we make as leaders in the data governance roles that we have, like data governance executives, councils, any of the data owners that we may have, the stance that we take. That's what I mean.
I love it. What else?
I think being respected for the years of experience that we bring to the table. And at least in my experience, I have as many or multiple more years at the table or in that realm than a lot of other people at the table, and you don't always get that respect just because of the gender.
Yeah, it came up last time about validation, right? We had to have a man validate our statements, right? Sometimes. Yeah.
I would say support in our decision making. So when we're trusted to make those decisions, we need that support for those to happen. So.
Just adding on that, a lot of times you'll say all these things, and then a guy comes in and says the same thing, and all of a sudden we're doing it. And that is one of the most frustrating problems I have, and the backup is important. So if I have a leader that will stand up for it, especially in the meeting, then that's really helpful. But that's a big struggle.
I take it that's a common issue.
Access to informal networking and informal networks that happen. We aren't always included in those kinds of conversations. Did you have one too?
Yes. Carla, I'm going to go here.
Mentorship or sponsorship, and I think more formal, like career trajectory types of training. So I don't know any, in my company, any other women data leaders or even senior leadership in insurance tends to be pretty male dominated. So it can be difficult to find someone to kind of help and coach and guide you in like, where do you go from here and how do you get a seat at the table. So some of us, especially starting off younger, don't have any like guidance there from other women either, or male allies who are also trying to figure out where we fit in.
Great.
A lack of mentorship and sponsorship, especially when all your superiors are male, and looking for a way to guidance on how to move up the career ladder. Is that correct? Okay. Yep.
Good evening or good afternoon. So one need that was important to the women in my organization was for men to be willing to serve as allies, sponsors, and mentors, kind of building on what was just said. So men to be willing to serve as allies, mentors, and sponsors.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Shannon. Another important aspect that I think is very critical, women to recognize other women, especially the women that are already in the executive, hold the hands of those women that they need to grow. We tend to have a tendency of not taking care of each other. You know, men, they discuss things over a bottle of whiskey, they are holding their hands. Us, we just look, we undermine each other, we don't grow each other. Let's not look at the other side of the gender. We need also to look women. How do we grow each other, the network? How do we develop each other? How do we hold each other and get it there? Because you'll find out those ones that are already sitting on the seats, they are not pulling each other. When they are pensioning, who's going to take over if there is no timber that is being grown within the women industry?
I've seen in several organizations, in the top of the ladder, there is an old boys network, which is so hard to break into. There should be awareness that that's happening in the organization to make way for women to have a career path and climb up in the ladder.
Can I know I'm not supposed to add, but I'm going to add. Can I add? So I would also venture to say possibly an alternative to the Old Boys Network, not just awareness that it exists, but possibly we could create an alternative.
Not feeling diminished in meetings. And I think that goes along with what she was saying earlier, but the role that when people witness it, being an ally and calling out the bad behavior, it's kind of hard, because you also don't want to be rude. So, but I mean, we do need allies in meetings, and we do need that support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if we're already problem solving, are we? Can I give a suggestion to that one specifically? There's a lot of really great work done in the last 3 or 4 years around being an ally for situations where you see racism. And a lot of it is actually really subtle. So saying things like, oh, why did you say that? Asking a question to someone who's said something that's inappropriate, or like as an ally or even another woman in the room, bringing somebody back in. So let's say like you bring up an idea and it gets cut off. I can say, oh, actually, you had a really great idea. Can I hear it? And there's a lot of like subtle things that we can do as women and men and any gender in a room to bring people back in. So if you're looking for specific resources on that, if you look up like how to be a good ally in racism situations, there's some really great work. My favorite one is called Ouch, That's a Stereotype. So if you Google that, it's like a list of 5 things that you can do to bring it back, questioning somebody, calling it out. If they make a joke, telling them it's not funny, and then bringing people back in. And there's a 5th one, but yeah.
To add to what Akriti was saying, a lot of those small, subtle things that might make you feel not good in a room as a woman, that's called a microaggression. And so it might not be an outwardly misogynistic thing, but it's something that is diminishing your place and your role in that space. So that's called a microaggression. And I think when we use that terminology, we know what to call it, that's when we can solve the problem. Thank you, Akriti.
Okay, we could go on forever with this question. I'm going to take just a couple more and then we're going to move on.
So as women, we wear multiple hats, right? So she was talking about alternatives. So why can't we create a big girls group?
I love it.
And get all these, brain power out there, because I was asking on the lunchtime, right? How do men learn? And it's about continuous learning, right? So to keep up with that, can we get like snippets or what you learned, share in a group or somewhere, right? Not like, there are a lot of seminars, webinars from Dataversity, but it's about 1 hour, right? But if any of you learn something and you can share some tech bit for the day, right? And if you got all nudged through, that's a learning itself, And we have got about 60 people here, and that will be awesome learning. Just the old boys versus big girls, okay?
I love that. All right, so let's move to the next question.
Yes.
So how can we build community and support for women? I mean, we started talking a little bit about this already. It's kind of the natural progression, right? So how do we build that community? How do we build the big girls, right? Group. Any idea? Yeah.
And it's funny because this morning when I ran into Danette, we were just commenting on one that we are appreciative of the younger, like a lot of younger faces at these conferences, some of us who've been here for years. But I think that a mentorship, like being willing to mentor and to be a mentee, I mean, I think that's a great way to build a community. I had nobody, coming up through this until I looked out and found people like Danette and Laura Spesh-Coleman and, Kelly and other people that had kind of blazed those trails before. But I think we all have that responsibility to try to be, a mentor to anybody else who wants it.
That's great.
Yeah, I would say awareness, because for a really long time I thought I was the only one, being from Toronto, Canada, and in data and in leadership, I don't really see anyone that I can go to. So knowing that, wow, this is a big room of people that are in the same space, that is really overwhelming and very encouraging, I must say, and that we can share ideas and talk about, how we can make a change or do something differently or learn from each other is a good, amazing start.
So I've said this before to you specifically. One of the things that we need to focus on as women and as men is it's not just about a community for our career. Those of us that are 50 plus, we grew up thinking we all had to be superwoman. We had to be able to be at the top of our career, raise the kids, do everything that we needed to do. For those younger than us, please let's tell them it's bullshit.
Thank you.
Love that. I think being involved in your community, so girls who there's all kinds of organizations, and also working with universities or tech schools and going to recruitment fairs and just talking about what you do. And I know we have created internship programs and just a way to get into this career. It's pretty remarkable how many people are coming out of school with data and analytics, data science degrees, but they don't know about this. And this is a little secret world, I think, that we live in, and so go out and talk about it, and it's pretty easy to drum up great talent.
I think that I love that for how do we bring more women into the community, Sarah, but I also think how do we help this group of people in this room, right? If every one of us had one person that we connected with enough at this conference that we could contact each other outside of the conference and say, I'm having a problem. I'm trying to work through a thing, especially if you don't have other data people or women in data at your company. This is a place to help build that network and reach out, like actually say, how do I get this? I'm trying to talk about data modeling and nobody wants to listen to me, right? How did you do it, right? That kind of having some of those folks, I think, is that there's nothing stopping us, y'all. We're allowed.
That's right.
Would it be good to have like a LinkedIn group for, okay, okay. Not a LinkedIn group, not on LinkedIn? Oh, yeah. If you have ideas, okay. I love it.
So just starting small, I mean, how do you build a community? You know, extroverts, I mean, there are introverts and extroverts here. So the extroverts are the ones that need to take the first step out. How do you actually take a step up and say, here is my, I don't know, email address, my name, my info. Let's take that step out and showcase or do something to say, this is how we are going to be mentors to the people who are shy, who cannot come out and say, I need help, or I need somebody to be my mentor. So volunteers, extroverts, let's reach out to the people who are going to be shy, who are not going to be able to do that.
All right, I love this. I do want to move on to the next question. I'm sorry, yeah, so we do have to keep it going. So, so how can we, oh, I'm so sorry, you did it fast. Okay, sorry.
Sorry, do you want me to go back?
I was just going to say that, so we actually started a Women in Technology group in our organization. We have a fairly large IT organization, and weirdly enough, our data tends very heavily women, our data organization, but this is broader across the whole organization, and we have a lot of diversity stuff enterprise-wide now, but the Women in Technology started first and really was kind of self-driven. And every year they meet and do things like, we had a shadowing program where someone from that wanted to see a different job within IT, that wanted to see a different role, you know, we did that. We have discussions like this, right, on a regular basis on specific topics. We do training, we do just a lot of different things that we started very formally.
That's amazing. I would love to hear more and how we can share those best practices. I love it. All right. So how can we encourage more and enable more women to enter the field? I mean, we've heard about, you know, we're seeing younger women, and you know, how do we get more?
I'm very passionate about this, especially having women come into STEM fields. And I think if we could have at least groups of people in similar locations, and we decide to go to schools, right, and talk to them about not just computer science, but talk about data and things like that, and how important it is, right? And data is going to take on a life of its own in the next few years with the amount of data everybody's capturing. I think doing that, we have at work, we have a financial literacy program that we go out to middle schools and teach them. It's very exhausting. I raise my hat to the teachers who teach middle schoolers, but you know, but it is really wonderful to be able to go out and speak to them, and the kind of questions they ask, you would never think of them. And I think doing that, going out to your community and encouraging young women to come into the STEM field. And we can do that. It's not necessary that we are STEM folks, but we are data folks, right? And I think that will be really a good thing for maybe individual chapters in the cities that we could think of doing.
Oh, I love it. I'm going behind you, Becky, here. Sorry.
Thank you. I think also part of it is just awareness, because I do think over the last few years there's been a lot of focus on STEM and data, but there are a lot of data adjacent jobs too. Right. So like right now I'm in consulting, but I'm working on data governance, and that's not even a realm I knew about. So I think there's a lot of focus on like big data and being data scientists and things of that nature. But there are a lot of data related jobs that use skills that historically women have been taught to have interpersonal skills, and that's very important for the work that we're doing here.
When roaming around the organization trying to find the data stewards, okay, and people tell you, well, this is the person who really knows that data. This is the person who's the subject matter expert. A lot of times the way to attract those people is to talk to them about data stewardship as a career. They may have never heard of the concept before, or certainly that they could get into that. And so that's been one way of kind of helping people who maybe don't feel they're in a data career, making them sort of recognize there is a career there that they could pursue, they could learn more about, and that they already are a professional data steward. They just didn't realize it. And building on that.
So making space for internships or promoting interns, we've done quite a bit of that at our company. Sarah's brought in quite a few people and promoted that idea of internship and giving people the experience in the real world to see what kinds of careers, to your point, are out there, in addition to getting some real on-the-job experience. On this side, keep passing it around.
So this is a similar vein, but an addition of going out and talking to people. So we all probably came from a university somewhere. We have an alma mater. I've gone back to mine several times, and I've connected in with the professors in the department where I graduated, and I will go in as a guest speaker. And it's really a good way. So just think about if even 50% of you all went back to the university you graduated from and you talked to somebody, I think that's a really nice way to get the word out.
So another group to attract, I know when we think about this, we think of people entering, coming out of school, but there's the whole second career generation as well, people who are transitioning careers. This is a huge opportunity for women. Some of my friends, I'll just share, we're in that point of life where we're caring for elderly parents and we have kids. We know how to share pictures on Shutterfly, put everything on Evernote, have patient portals for every human we know, in every portal you can imagine. And when you start talking about all of the data that we manage for our families, social media, everything, just think about it, emails, things like that. We have passwords for all of our family members. We create passwords for all. It is literally that, but a little easier to do this in an enterprise. So I've encouraged a number of my friends. Listen, it's a no-brainer. It really, once you kind of put it into, you already have the skill sets. This is what you do in that unique space of being a woman and being essential, kind of that information hub to all the people that you know. So trust me, you can do it.
Oh, amazing. I do want to, I wish we could spend a lot of time on all these questions, but I do need to keep it moving. We have talked a lot internally about inviting local college students when we're hosting an event to come and attend. Like, would y'all be interested in sponsoring somebody, a student? Would that be something that's, might work? Yeah. Yeah. Love it. And it's a lot of young women, which is encouraging too. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, Let's keep going.
I'm catching up. Hang on.
So just so you guys know, Kelly's taking notes furiously. So because this is so important to us, we really want to capture everything you all are saying and suggesting so that we can really work to implement something really successful for you all. All right. So speaking of, what would you like to see more of? What topics? What programs? Yes.
So I think something that's really important, and it kind of goes back to what several of you have said too, is for us to tell our own stories. Every one of us got into this career in a different way. So if there was some kind of a forum or a way that you could record and tell your own story, and how you got there, who helped you, and what helped you along the way, I think that's a good way to bring in more people. It's to share and do those types of things too.
Yeah, so we have a podcast, My Career in Data, which talks about how people got into data, because it's not a linear path, especially for my generation or older, right? It's nobody knew really what data was, and so yes, but we'll be promoting that more too. So I'm interviewing more women. So go see Natalie at the booth. And
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm the producer of the podcast.
Hi, Natalie.
You should come talk to me, or you can submit to be a guest. Dataversity.net/podcast.
She's amazing.
One of the things that, for me, coming in, I didn't come in really through IT, or more of a BA. And I think that for a lot of the women, the actual hardcore IT side of it has been even more male dominated. And sometimes that's the part where, thank heavens I have this one to help me with the architecture side, because I was absolutely excluded from that in my corporate career. And having ways of helping people connect this actually very creative data work that we do in with the IT and the IT architecture, I think that would actually, we're bringing the interpersonal skills to the table, right? But I think bringing more of those technical skills would be great too.
Yeah, so, and I want to make sure that we get to and thank you, by the way, for validating that. This is a really good idea. I really love that when people have ideas. So make sure that we know, get back to the topic of what do we want to learn?
So here, one thing I've seen is also help us negotiate, right? So when we come in and change careers, or even move to another, and we climb, we still are so not comfortable asking for a 25% raise or something like that, right? So I think how have other women in our field done that? I know people have, but sharing that knowledge, right? How do you negotiate when you're changing careers or changing jobs? I think those tips will really help, I feel.
Awesome.
One thing from my side is from career pathing perspective, especially for the young people. As we said, everybody came to the data in a different way, but if you are asked, like, if you start here, where you're going to go, we just listen to data governance, metadata, one person. So ultimately, I think the working with the data stewards, like in my organization, like the finance people, HR people, for me, these are some of the best data stewards I have, but working with them and recognizing that the value of the data work is a key thing, because currently it is not recognized. So when I want someone to have a data steward role, it's not affecting their pay, never mind that they have technical skills. So I think for the women especially, and what I see, women are very well organized, much more ordered. They talk to people, they have the pensions to negotiate, which men don't. So ultimately, I think that's one of the big things from my side, career pathing and what's the value. And we talk about data governance and management. Sometimes it's accepted as compliance work and police work. I think bringing that value. You can't do AI if your data is not clean. And everybody go and say, okay, let's do this and that, get this company. But if the data is clean, you can do it. And I think career pathing and understanding how people can grow, because women also want to achieve. So if you're stuck somewhere, you won't go there. So I think that's also the other thing, giving them the opportunity that that's an area to grow even in other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. A career path. Yes.
So I think multiple people mentioned this earlier, but really not being taken seriously in the work that we do. And I actually have a theory that's maybe controversial, that we have more women in data governance because data governance is seen as more like people, more fluff, less technical. And so and we get voluntold to do it. And so we are willing to take on more work in our workplaces, and that's why I think more women are ending up in data governance than maybe some men. So I think something I would really love to see is more focus or emphasis on how we can prove that we have some of these skills. So a lot of other areas have certifications. The only one we have is a CDMP. We don't have anything data governance specific. But then also maybe something where like Dataversity might be able to help is creating some type of like practitioner award for individuals, and not a women's award, because women's awards don't serve women. They put us in a box. So an award where maybe like all of us at conference can nominate somebody who is doing really well in the field as in mentorship or in leadership from that perspective, so that women at all different levels of their career are able to prove that they have experience and can be taken a little more seriously in the workplace.
So training in being seen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm actually so glad that you said that, because today, as I was looking around the room, I was counting heads. And for the first time at any somewhat technical conference ever, there was maybe 50 to 60% women in every room, and I was really surprised by that. Secondly, the only thing about what you said that I would dispute is the use of the word fluff to describe the skills that we bring, because it's not fluff. It's extremely valuable. And I think that whole notion of hard versus soft skills is a whole area of opportunity that needs to be unpacked. When people talk about hard skills, in their mind, it goes like peanut butter with jelly when they're talking about like the technical work that people do. And just even using the word soft skills to describe the skills and capabilities that women bring, I think does us a disservice. And I think there would be a ton of value in starting to explore how you can leverage those, for lack of a better word, soft skills to add value in a space like data governance.
Great. Indeed. Yes.
Thank you. I think one topic that should also be addressed is raising awareness on the bias that's happening in recruitment. Because I don't know, it was Amazon, I think, I don't know, it was a company that applied an AI model to screen resumes, but it turned out it was biased. So when the AI model screened, okay, yeah, this anonymized resume was more technical, and it was biased. So I think raising the awareness of the bias that might happen at recruitment level, but also when we're talking about career paths, on the assessment of women, also their biases can happen. So I think raising that awareness would also be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mine's very similar to yours, where I would like to see women be more confident and aggressive for their career path and what they're doing. I read somewhere that a woman sees 10 attributes and they don't have 3, they won't apply. Mm-hmm. And a man has 3 and he's going to go for it, right? And I think we need to change the way we see ourselves. Instead of, we're at a certain level for a while, we might stay a little bit longer when we might be ready, and we might be listening to others who might not really know our skills as well, saying that's the job for you rather than what you should really be doing.
So it's training in how to recognize your own power. Yes. Mm-hmm. I like it.
At conferences like this, I think that there should be like a session that's like, do you want to present next year? So that women get the opportunity to say like, yes, I'm encouraged by this thing. I do want to present next year. And then that's the pipeline to having more women presenters here.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to add to that. I had a woman come up to me at EDW in September who wanted to present, but she was so nervous. She's never given a talk before. If any of you want to give a talk, you can reach out to me, and if you want to practice, I will put together a small group. We've got Zoom. We can do it. You can get some feedback in a safe space, and yes, absolutely, anytime. We will make that happen. So just know that that resource is there for you. Yeah.
And then, and I hate public speaking, but it was the only way I could get to the conference at that time. But since then, I've taken on the role of mentoring other people, mostly women, because again, our organization tends to be heavily women in the data area, to come, and we've been presenting every year since. But one of the things that we do is we present in pairs.
Yes, that's a great
We
idea.
always present in pairs. It does.
Works well.
I just would like to say that this particular forum, this week-long forum, has been transformational to me as a voluntold data governance program manager who was hired to do quality improvement. And so what would I like to continue to see is this, and I don't want that to be taken as not enough for some group of us, because it was very much enough. I have found nothing but support from any gender everywhere I've gone for every single program I've attended. Taken the data back. My organization has been very supportive, and I haven't had any of the gender biases that other people have. I don't deny that exists, but I've been fortunate. And I have to say, for our presentation this year, we came only to pay it forward because of how helpful this forum has been for a week. So I want to make sure that that's stated, as well as thinking what additional things other people may need. This is very foundational and very important and supportive.
Call out Tony. Should we have Tony stand up so that we can say thank you for creating this community and supporting us in this special interest group? There's a reason that this community is so good, Tony.
So everybody,
Come on.
Anthony Shaw, our CEO, Dataversity founder. Just so you all know, this was his idea.
Anyway.
We're lucky.
It's a thing.
Oh yeah, that was intentional, Tony. This was your idea. It's good.
Yes.
This is a lot of support.
Yes.
So.
Well, if I may.
Please.
Certainly very gratifying to see the enthusiasm for this particular idea, which I give full credit to Shannon for spearheading. I do want to say, Kelly, we've got you a little bit beat in that 9 out of 11 Dataversity employees are women.
Are you like one of the only male employees? We got to work on our ratio then.
Yeah. But to the, I think one of the points that was made earlier, anyway, I'll restate it slightly. We can help facilitate this as Dataversity, but it's only going to succeed if we get support sort of from the bottom up, because we've done various community type programs before that just fall flat if it's all up to us. So very gratifying to see the amount of support and enthusiasm that there is here, but ultimately it's only going to work if it's basically a community-driven thing, not a Dataversity-driven thing. So I'll just plant that, please, for future whatever. Thanks.
That's true. Thank you.
So I love that. With that, if you would like, again, so we can put the QR code back up.
I'm going, sorry.
The big one, no,
Catching
that's
up?
good.
Yep.
So if you do want to sign up and get involved, please reach out. And also, women, you can email womenindata@dataversity.net. Both Kelly and I are monitoring that inbox, so you'll get either one of us. So I really appreciate it. And again, to continue the conversation, there is a reception outside the door. And after you're done there, you can hit the Data Galaxy reception and for lots of networking and discussion time. So thank you all so much for being here and being part of this discussion. We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I'm going to be processing this for a while, and I'll keep you informed on where we go and how we can better support each other.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.